Alrighty then. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6. We are two girls with a case, and on tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about the case of the Somerton man.
Ooh.
And for those of you who are not familiar with this, the Somerton man is a very famous case out of Australia. Yes, and so let's get into it. So on December 1st, 1948, a body of an unidentified man was found by two jockeys on the beach in Somerton Park in Adelaide, South Australia. And so the police arrive, and this man does not have any identification on him whatsoever. And so they're inspecting his, he's very well dressed, by the way. And so they're inspecting him, like his pockets. There's no wallet. And then they found, oh, and the tags on his clothing were all removed. For
What?
some, yes, it's very bizarre. And so, however, the items in his jacket pocket that were found were some train tickets, a pack of gum, a comb, a pack of cigarettes, a pack of matches, and then there was an unlit cigarette laying on his chest. And so, they take his fingerprints, and they put it into a database that they had there at that time. No match. So they pull his dental records, they put that in their database. Nothing comes up. And the strange part about this is, so he had this syndrome called hypodontia, and it causes a lot of missing teeth. No dental records were matched to this whatsoever. And so the medical examiner performs the autopsy, and he cannot figure out what the cause of death is. So he comes to theorize that at this time he thinks that he may have been poisoned with something that is untraceable at this time. His reason for thinking that is his spleen, the Somerton man's spleen, was 3 times the size of a normal one. He had blood in his stomach, and he also had like a large amount of like blood in the blood vessels in his liver, and there was a little bit of bleeding in his intestines as well. But the funny thing, yeah, like no traces of poison, no like blunt force trauma, nothing to suspect that, hey, this was like homicide or nothing. And so, due to the nature of, the tags being removed from his clothing and that he had no form of identification on him, investigators were kind of concluding to the fact that he may have taken his own life via poisoning. And so, about 9 days after they found his body, they had him embalmed, and they took a cast of him, like from like head to torso, just because they were still unable to identify who he is. And then afterwards, the Australian Salvation Army paid for his funeral. So he
Hmm.
wouldn't have like, like a pauper's grave.
Yeah.
Very sweet of them. And so about a month later, on January 1st of 1949, staffers at the Adelaide train station found a brown suitcase that was unlocked. No tags with owners' names were on it. And because of that, they're kind of alluding to, hey, does this belong to that guy that we found last month? And so, they're inspecting the belongings and everything. And so they found an electrician's screwdriver, a table knife, which had been filed down to like a very sharp object, some scissors, some zinc, boot polish, a woman's hairpin,
Oh.
and there was some orange thread. And the thing about this orange thread is it had been used in a bunch of women sewing kits there at that time in Australia, and this thread specifically happened to match thread on one of the buttons on his clothing.
Ooh.
And so, they were like, okay, this probably belongs to him. And so, only other thing that really stands out about this is that on the laundry bag there was the word T Keen, which also happened to be written on his tie when they found him. So they put this T Keen, like they put in, was like, is there anybody by this name? Any record of anybody with this name? Nothing pops up. And they're like, okay, is he from overseas? Because some of his clothing and some of the items in his belongings, they weren't from Australia. They were able to, like, the materials and such are like, this is not Australian made.
Hmm.
This is possibly American.
Yeah.
And so even though they had that T Keen, nothing pops up. And so about 4 months after he was initially found on the beach, they were going through some more of his clothing and they found a secret pocket in his pants. And so they go through the pockets and they found some paper, a piece of paper looked like it had been torn out of a book. And the words on this paper says Taman should, which is a Persian phrase for this has ended.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And so they were able to match this piece of paper to a book, which is an 11th century Persian poetry book by Omar Khayyam titled The Rubaiyat. And so, well, 8 months after the initial discovery of his body, an unidentified man who his identity has never been made public, he goes to the police station with a copy of this same book. And he's like, around the time that that man's body was found, he had found it in his vehicle. And so, he gives the book to investigators and they look through the book. The very last page of this book, that bottom portion ripped out. So they find that piece of paper. It's a match to this exact book.
Ooh, goosebumps. A little.
And so at the back of this book, there was a bunch of letters written down. Like not even like the page part, but like hard copy book, it's like there's just that white surface. Bunch of letters written on, like they're like, okay, this is code for something. To this day, that has never been deciphered. They're unable to figure out what all these letters stand for. And so, upon further inspection of the book, they find a phone number written inside of it. And they were able to track it down to a woman by the name of Jessica, aka Joe Thompson, who actually lived there in the area in Adelaide. And so police bring her in for questioning, and she is very evasive. Okay? She's like, why would this unknown man have my phone number? Like, what is this? So they bring out the cast that they had taken of the Somerton man. Upon her seeing it, she is taken aback. She acts like she's going to faint. She becomes very emotional. All the while, she is denying that she knows who this is. She does not know who this man is. She's very adamant that she doesn't know who this man is. However, her bodily reactions are, proving otherwise.
Yeah.
And so she starts saying that, she cries, she doesn't know who this man is, and that book specifically, she had given it to this copy, her copy, she had given it to a man by the name of Alfred Boxall. So investigators are like, okay, well, is he Alfred Boxall? And upon further investigation, they're like, no, he's not Alfred. Alfred's alive and well in the world. He's out there in Australia, and upon getting into contact with Alfred, Alfred had his very own copy of that book. Perfect
This is.
condition, no pages are missing. And so, following year 1949, an inquest had been requested, into the death of the Somerton man because things weren't adding up. There was too many questions, and one of the things that was very striking was the Somerton man's shoes were very, very clean.
Hmm.
Now, he's fully dressed head to toe. Why are his shoes in pristine condition if he had been walking on the beach?
Yeah.
And so, and the confusing thing is, there had been some reports. People from the night prior to him being found, they stated that they had saw another well-dressed man carrying another man over his shoulders.
And y'all just watched this happen?
And
Right.
so like yeah, because they were like, wait, what is this? And there's been theorized that like, well, did he die somewhere else and this man just brought him and left him there because of his shoes? That has been a very large question. Because also to the poison theory, with poison, when somebody's poisoned, it's like they're gonna vomit or something. There was none of that around the Somerton man's body. There was no vomit on his clothing, on like around his mouth, nothing. It essentially looked like, he just laid his head back, went to sleep, and never woke up. And so a pharmacologist testified that there was two poisons that the Somerton man could have possibly ingested because these two, they're pretty much impossible in small doses to identify within the human body. And something about the name digitalis, and that even in small doses, extremely, extremely toxic. And so we're going to fast forward 1959. So we're like 11 years after his body's been found, still unidentified. A man comes forward, a different man comes forward about seeing him being carried over that man's shoulder. It was actually 11 years after. I forgot to add that in.
Okay.
11 years. You waited 11 years to say that this is what you saw the night before. Now, back to when he was actually found, some other people had come forward and stated that, like they saw him there, but he looked like he was asleep. They didn't really think anything of it. And then one couple stated that, they saw him there and they saw his arm kind of fall down and that he was just a little bit still afterwards. We're like, okay, well, maybe he's drunk. No big deal. No
Y'all
big.
could have still helped. Like, I don't get reasoning here, but okay.
And then, so as the years gone by, Mrs. Thompson, if she had been re-questioned about any knowledge of, who the Somerton man could have been, she denied knowing anything regarding his identity. And in 2007, she passes away. However, her daughter Kate has stated that she does believe that her mom knew who he was, and that she even quoted her mom saying that she did know who the identity of that man was, and his identity was like above the police. Like, that's all she alluded to. She never went further enough to say the reasoning, none of that. And there have been so many theories speculating just because of how bizarre this case truly is, and the possible poison factor, and the fact that nobody has claimed this man, or not even as like a missing person, nothing to match his description, right? That maybe he was a spy. We have espionage.
Ooh.
Espionage has entered the chat. And so Kate believes that her mom also may have been a spy. And her reasonings for this is that her mom taught English like to migrants, to like others who were not English speaking, and she was fluent in Russian,
Oh?
and she never disclosed to her daughter or her loved ones how or when she became fluent in the Russian language. And she also had a very strong belief in communism.
Oh no.
And so, October 2019, the Australian government agrees to exhume the Somerton man's body, for DNA matching to any possible relatives. And so, July of 2022 comes around,
Mhm.
and after 74 years,
74. Okay, I'm sorry.
we have a name.
I'm ready.
We have a name. The Somerton man has been identified as Carl Charles Webb.
Okay, let me just pause real quick and say I'm a little bit disappointed in this name. All right, 74 years for a web. But I mean, hey, a
To
name
be,
is
to
better than
be.
nothing. Yes, small bit. Okay, let's
And
keep.
so, Carl was born in 1905 outside of Melbourne, Australia,
Whew.
which ties to his age being found. He was maybe about 43, 43 to 45 when he was found. He was the youngest of six kids.
Mm,
Six. And so he went on to become an electrical engineer.
hence
Matches
the.
matches up with some of the items found in his suitcase.
Mhm.
And so he had married Dorothy Robinson, aka Doth Webb. And so in 1947, she filed for divorce because he had disappeared. He just
Oh,
up and disappeared. And she was granted the divorce because she even had put like in the newspaper, like, if you don't come here on this date, la 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 la, like via the court, this divorce is going to be granted. He doesn't show up. She gets her divorce. And so after that divorce record, there have been no more records of him ever.
oh my goodness.
Nor was there a death certificate. And so, after the divorce, she got her divorce. Dorothy, she moved to South Australia. And people have theorized that maybe that's why he was over there. After he disappeared, he comes back. He's like, oh, she's left me, she's divorced me, and he tries to go track her down. So going back to the T Keen that was found on some of the clothing, that was actually the name of Carl's brother-in-law, Thomas Keene, who had actually passed away a few years before Carl, aka the Somerton man, was discovered. And so they put Carl's DNA into a genealogical database, and they found a first cousin 3 times removed on his mother's side.
Dang. Sorry.
And so the questions about this is, from when Dorothy filed for divorce and when Carl was found, that is 18 months. Where was he for these 18 months? Why did he just up and leave? And Dorothy had no idea where he was. He is the youngest of six kids. Where were the rest of his siblings in this time frame? So his parents had actually died several years prior, and one of his brothers was killed in World War II. But that still gives him X amount of other siblings.
Right, like y'all
Just
just
said,
don't
hey,
put
where's my
yourself.
brother? You know? Like, why didn't they file a report? Was he not on good terms with his siblings? Like, don't know. Dorothy did state that he was moody at times and the marriage kind of was a turbulent one.
Hmm.
And based off of all of this, yeah, I feel like mental health could have very largely been at play for his disappearing, then him coming back, and ultimately him taking his own life. If that is what truly happened. But there's still a lot of other aspects that do not add up.
Yeah, like I just kind of feel like even if he had mental issues going on, obviously it wasn't too bad for him to go and remove the tags off his clothes and be that neat. Like I don't see if a to me if a person is going to take their life, they are not concerned with the tags in their clothes. Like they're not going to be concerned with those minor details because the end goal is just not to be here anymore. And then even if he did, who was carrying him then? Like did he tell them like I'm going to take my life, so I need you to lay me in the sand? I don't
But
feel
even
like
though that person came forward and said he saw that man carrying another man, that has never officially been confirmed as to what. So that puts the big old question mark. Oh, but investigators also theorized that his brother-in-law had given him those clothes. They were kind of like hand-me-downs. So that's what they have stated. I don't know, but just
but so once again, why would they take the tags off? Like I just feel like that is something that's very because you don't normally think about the tags on your clothing. That is just throwing me.
just wanted to make it difficult, more difficult to be found. I don't know.
Yeah, but then that brings me to the next question. Who were you running from? Who or what were you running from? I don't know. I can't.
There is just so many questions still needed to be answered, and we may never get them. But the fact that after about 74 years, we got a name, it's a
We're
big
glad for
start.
the name. So is the case still like open or
It's still open. I think they're trying to figure out, like, some more things regarding what could have happened and where was he during those 18 months. But there's a name. There's a name.
it's just suspicious because if she was a spy, then who knows, he probably was a spy, he probably got roped into it, or maybe like they killed him because of her, like she didn't do her job right or something, you know what I'm saying?
Really.
And then I don't even understand. I can barely cope with my life in the basic mundane things I have. How are you a spy and a mother at the same time? Like, and having loved ones, and then for it to say, what did you say? Like this chapter has ended or this is
It
finished.
has ended.
What? That's hey. And then to have Morse code on the back of the book, it's a lot of shifty eyes on this
A
case.
lot of aspects truly do not add up. That's espionage. Did somebody, it was a
Mhm.
hit, made it look like he, took his own life, and it was really, there's more nefarious reasons behind it.
Especially if she says he's above the police. It reminds me of that case. Do you remember on Unsolved about the lady who was found with like out any ID or anything like that? And she, like, they never could identify her, but they thought that maybe she could have been a spy.
That's the one I wanted to do next. Yes,
Oh,
that's
well, then we're
the
gonna
ice
talk about
doll.
that
That's the
one
ice doll woman. Yes.
next.
Yeah.
So we'll get to
They
have her
very much
too.
believe that she was a spy. Yes.
And I can't wait to dive in that one too. But that's when you told me that, I'm like, this reminds me exactly of that because I'm just not convinced that there was no foul play. I'm saying it was too
No,
much.
her case, there was a whole lot of foul play.
Ooh, I can't wait to get into that one too. But yeah, I'm calling it. He was done wrong some type of way. I don't. And then I kind of also feel like for the wife to be like, if you don't come here immediately, it is, like I feel like who knows, maybe like he was cheating with the spy lady, like maybe
Very
they fell
possible.
in love.
It's very possible.
And then he got off when she found out like he had a new, I don't know, but for
Oh,
her to
she
be,
was also like married. She was also supposed married to
ooh,
I can't
see,
think of his name, but yeah, she was married, so it's just like, is there
and
a
it's like,
triangle going on? Are we in a square?
because didn't you say like some orange thread belonged to her? So it,
To a woman, yes. We didn't know if it
to
was her specifically, but the man
because I'm saying
side eye.
It is a side eye. It is a big side eye because y'all not about to be playing me out here, okay? They got caught, all right, and he got off. That is what happened, okay? Lovers betrayal. And maybe not, but I just feel like a foul play for sure was there. She had to know him from her reactions to her mannerisms, being questioned and stuff. Your body does not lie. Like you probably could say whatever you want, but if you're reacting like that, then you know more than what you. And then her name was like Joe. That sounds like a spy name. Mm-mm. This case though, it was excited. I mean, it gave me goose pimples, but hey, I like this because this 74 years. I feel like the
74
Titanic
years.
all over again. It's been 84 years. Oh
And
my
it's
goodness.
really sad though, because it's like
Yeah.
none of his loved ones, whoever his relatives that were like at least alive when he had gone missing, nobody came forward and said, "Hey, my
That's what
brother,
I'm
my
saying.
in-law, my uncle, my whoever, we haven't seen him in a while. What's happened? Nothing."
They were just like, forget this guy. And I mean, I, my brother could never. Okay, if he don't pick up the phone in a week, I'm asking questions. So I don't understand how they were just like, yeah, he's on a vacation.
And the fact that he was like what, an electrical engineer? And
Yeah,
yeah,
like your
none of
bosses
nobody
don't
from his
care
employment was said, "Hey, this man never showed up."
for his shift today. That's what I'm saying,
Heck,
Marissa. That's sketchy.
and his ex-wife, she stated that, like he had a routine. He was very prompt in his routine. Like he wanted to be laying in bed at like 7, 8 o'clock at night, like going to bed early, like
Yes,
early.
something
He had
ain't
a
right with
schedule,
that.
and it's just
Well,
something.
may he rest in peace.
And he was,
Sir, we are going to believe that they are going to find your killers, okay? Whoever did you wrong. And I'm low key a little bit mad that baby girl went to the grave with her secrets. But then again, depending on who was pulling strings, I probably would have went to the grave with my secrets as well. Like, I don't know nothing. Oh, but cool. You know what? Shout out to the daughter for speaking up. You know what I'm saying? Like she was like,
"Thank you,
"Y'all don't
Kate."
hear me. We hope Kate is thriving and surviving wherever she is." But thank you so much for sharing this case with us. This was fun. Okay. Let me. The elements of like learning about it was fun. What happened to him was not fun. It was not okay. I'm always mad at the townspeople because it's like y'all don't ever do anything. Okay, all of y'all just sit and look and observe. This is what is wrong with the world. If you see something, say something. Like you can save lives out here by reporting it to the police. Like just you don't even have to stay. Just be like, yo, it's a dead body out here. I gotta go by and just dip, but say something. Oh, goodness gracious. But, anyways, thank you so much for such a lovely case. Anything else? Like, was his socks matching colors or?
I don't that I don't know. Maybe so, maybe so.
Well, all right then. Well, Bud, I'll let you wrap it up.
All right, guys, if y'all have any questions or comments, hit them down below in the comment section.
Know
And
anything, please reach out.
links will be provided for more information if y'all care to look it up. And we are Two Girls with a Case.
Girls with the case. Thank you for joining us.
And we'll
Bye,
see you next time.
guys.